Hey guys, what's going on? My name is Nathan, and welcome to today's video for Legends of Runeterra. We got more cards today, no new champions, and not really a new mechanic, but we have a lot of cards actually. I think we have 9 cards to look at today. All of the cards are from a cycle, but I guess we'll just be calling this the Tellstone cycle. Pretty much just a Three Sisters style card, a 1-mana card that creates a fleeting spell from a choice of 3 different spells. Some of them are really good. Some of them I think are garbage. Probably in the middle or around the end, I'll probably give a quick, off the top of my head ranking of where I think the cards are, in terms of their power level, strongest to weakest or whatever. I'll probably include Freljord in that too, but very cool cards. I like these cards a lot. I think they but I think they fix a lot of the problems in the game at the moment. Just specifically one big problem, that is the weakness of landmark removal. For some of these regions, of course, not all of them. But enough of that. There are a lot of cards, and we're going to be talking a lot about these cards. So let's go and look at these cards. All right, so like I said, we have 9 different Tellstones. No Freljord Tellstone, because I assume they're just the Three Sisters card is the Freljord Tellstone, but it's not called Freljord Tellstone. So we'll go through these cards really quick. As you can tell, all 1-mana burst spells, all letting you choose from one of 3 cards to add to your hand. They're all spells, and they're all going to be fleeting. So, standard cycle stuff. So let's start with the first one. So, Piltover Tellstones. 1-mana burst speed spell. I probably don't even have to read the 1-mana burst speed spells, but Piltover Tellstone, you get to create a fleeting Aftershock, Hextech Transmogulator, or Progress Day. I'm using Runeterra AR instead of just using images and showing images of just the cards, because I can cycle through the cards that it creates easily. And there's a lot of cards that you've probably never seen before that are being created off of these Tellstones, so I will be going through that and showing each and every single card that's created off of the Tellstones. So, first one, Piltover Tellstones. 2 of these cards you actually probably should know about. Aftershock, it's a main deckable card already, not that great. Hextech Transmogulator, pretty solid card from Pharaoh's Financier. Same with Progress Day, and Progress Day actually used to see play main deck, but it kind of just got cut out for other things like Financier. So, I feel like this is very middle ground for a power level. I'd say it's slightly above the average, but if I were to give it a ranking, I'd say out of 5 stars, a 3 out of 5. It's okay. I can see myself playing it in the deck. If I would like to put Aftershock in my deck and I'm not a burn deck, I can see myself playing Piltover Tellstones. My problem with the card is it's slow, it's really bad tempo, and most of the time you're going to want to play Aftershock. A lot of the way I'm trying to evaluate these cards is similar to Three Sisters. Is there a spell that I like in a lot of my matchups? For Three Sisters, Flash Freeze almost always gets value, and Fury of the North is always at least solid as a protection spell, while Entomb is mostly just bad or very hard to get value from. Piltover Tellstones kind of does that. Aftershock's solid in most matchups, but Hextech Transmogulator, Progress Day, they're not doing much against aggressive / tempo-y decks. Decent against control decks, though, but I don't know. I feel it might be a little tough to fit this card in your deck. Still, though, I like it. I'll probably play it as a 1-of in my slower, more control-y PNZ decks. Karma, by the way, I guess I should say this for every single Tellstone. Karma with these Tellstones is kind of cute, but also you have to remember the second spell you'll get from the copied Tellstones that Karma creates will also be fleeting, so it's kind of not that great, but whatever. But yeah, I like it. 5-mana Aftershock's not the worst, and you're paying a premium, of course. You're paying extra to get the flexibility choice premium, whatever you want to call it, which it's fine. Three Sisters sees play, so I think this will see a little bit of play. Shadowhile's Tellstone. Create a fleeting Mark of the Isles, Spirit Journey, or Crumble. So these are all bad cards. Mark of the Isles, kind of meh. 1 mana +2/+2, give it ephemeral. Kind of makes me want to. Kind of makes me think that they could probably unnerf Mark of the Isles now. I think it used to give +3/+3 a long time ago, and they nerfed it because Shadowhile's aggro was so strong. Spirit Journey, it's the Kindred champ spell. Kill something, then revive it. Flicker it if you have a magic background, basically. And then, you know, Crumble. Kill an ally to kill a unit or destroy a landmark. This is what I was talking about, though, when I was talking about how some of these Tellstones help shore up the weakness of landmark removal. Crumble's not good. None of these cards are good. Crumble's mediocre, and Spirit Journey is pretty bad, too, and Mark of the Isles is bleh. But Crumble is okay if you're not having to main deck it, and you can switch between other spells for 1 extra mana. Like, Spirit Journey is an okay protection spell, and like you can use it to protect your unit from a vengeance. You can use it to slow down your opponent, basically pseudo stun your opponent's unit. And then if you run into like a deck with a landmark that you need to get rid of, you got Crumble. Obviously, this won't work against Sundisk because Sundisk has Rive Negation and Soothsayer. I think Soothsayer is the card I'm thinking of, the 1/4 for 2 that gives Spell Shield, so it's going to be a little tougher for against Sundisk, but it's nice that this kind of card exists. Do I think this card is good? I think it's like the P and Z card, the Piltover card, whatever you want to call it. I think it's very middle ground. I think it does have a couple of decks that like this card, though. I think Darkness probably likes this. This does helps protect your Vagar, and it does shore up Darkness's weakness against landmarks. Not great, but it helps a little bit. I can also see like Kindred decks and Viego decks running this too, because they both work really, really well with Spirit Journey and Crumble. And Mark of the Isles is just decent if you want to push in some extra damage with an Atrocity. So I think it's solid. It's definitely not the worst, but I don't think this is in the I'd say this is in the top 5 of these cards, like maybe around the 5th best one. Next up, what do we have? Bilgewater Tellstones. This one, I keep going back and forth on this one. I think it's bad, and then I think it's good. And that probably means it's just about average, maybe even bad. But create a More Powder, Playful Trickster, or Chum the Waters in hand. So it is burst speed, so remember that. So, More Powder, summon 2 Powder Kegs for 2 mana. Whatever. Playful Trickster is the Fizz champ spell. Remove an attacking ally from combat to rally, and Chum the Waters is also related to Fizz. It's where he summons Longtooth, or where the spell summons Longtooth and gives an enemy vulnerable. Permanent vulnerable too, so remember that. So, this card, I've thought about this in Pirates, like Pirate aggro. It's like you give something vulnerable, and then you have a 5/2, and you use the 5/2 Overwhelm Longtooth to kill something and push damage that way. More Powder with a TF red card or a Misfortune attack's kind of cute as well. Rally's kind of strong, even though Playful Trickster's not that great. You're getting versatility here. Also, TF Nami with this card. TF Nami builds some big elusives, and then you use Playful Trickster to pull one of the elusives out of combat and rally again and attack again. So I don't know. I don't think it's great, but I do think it has a little bit of potential. And I think a couple of decks like this card, but I don't think it's overall just like, oh yeah, you're in Bilgewater, play like 1 to 2 Tellstones. Like, this is definitely a card that's only going in very specific decks. So, like, I don't know, TF Swain, I don't think TF Swain would play this. Granted, who plays TF Swain anyway? Next card. Ooh, we got one of the worst ones here. Bandel City's Tellstones. So, create a Heroic Refrain, Yordle Contraption, or Keeper's Verdict. Heroic Refrain is a 3 mana burst speed, give 2 allies +2/+1. Yordle Contraption is this thing, 5 mana slow spell, destroy a landmark, or create 2 random multi-region followers in hand. And Keeper Verdict is Poppy's champ spell, place an enemy unit on top of the enemy's deck. I think this is the worst, or at least second worst, Tellstone. This is definitely in the bottom 2 in my opinion. I I don't see myself wanting to main deck this in any single Bandel City deck. Now, before you say it, because someone always likes to mention it, no. Shellfolk does not work with Tellstones. Shellfolk does not work. Shellfolk specifically says non-random choices. These Tellstones are not random choices. You are always going to see the same exact spells from the Tellstones. And we know this will, unless like the game is bugged or Riot's being Riot with their code, these Tellstones should not work with Shellfolk. Shellfolk does not work with Three Sisters, giving you a second fleeting spell. Shellfolk does not work with, say, like Aphelios, giving you a second moon weapon, so these should not work with Shellfolk. Now, I will say this. While I think Bandel City is definitely the worst, or at least one of the worst of the Tellstones, I think it kind of has to be. And the reason for that is Conchologist. Conchologist creating a Tellstone is actually pretty solid. And here's the thing, Conchologist can create a Tellstone from your other region too, and some of these Tellstones are really, really strong. So I think it's kind of good that it's bad. Like, is this copium here? I don't know. Like, I like Bandel City. I'm sorry. Kill me now. I know, right? But I like Bandel City. And I guess Yordle Contraption is nice if you really are in a landmark heavy meta, but it's still a 5 mana destroy a landmark spell, and a lot of landmark based decks usually have a way to protect their landmarks nowadays, basically Rite of Negation. Bandle Tree is gone, in other words. But I don't know, I like the card. I like that you can get it from Conchologist, so it's nice in that fact. But outside of that, I would not play this in any of my Bandel City decks. I think it's trash. What do we have next? Ionian Tellstone. Okay, now this one is, in my opinion, in the top 3, if not the best of the Tellstones. So, create a health potion, a homecoming, or stand united. So, you should all know what health potion does by now. 1 mana to heal anything for 3 on your side. Homecoming, it's a main deckable spell, so you should know this by now, I feel. 4 mana, bounce one of your things to bounce an opponent's thing. Could be a landmark or a unit. And Stand United is Shen's champion spell. Swap 2 allies and give them barrier. All 3 of these cards are solid cards. Health Potion has seen play in decks before, usually as only a 1 of in Karma decks. Homecoming has seen play as a 3 of in some decks. That's a little excessive, but you know, it's a 2 of in a lot of decks, sometimes even a 3 of. Stand United is a very strong card too. It's not main deckable because it's a 6 mana card and it's kind of clunky, but it's a very, very strong card and can blow out your opponent. So I think this is the strongest, or at least in the top 3 of the Tellstones. I don't know much to talk about with it. It's like, it's just crazy good. If you're ever going to play like Health Potion, you should never, ever play Health Potion. Like if you're in a Karma deck and you're like, oh, I want a 1 of Health Potion, you should never play it. You should play Hellstones right away. So yeah, I really, really like this card. Works nicely with Karma, works nicely with Lee Sin. Lee Sin action with this, Lee Sin Zoe. Great, great card. Eye of the Dragon too probably loves this because it's another cheap spell. So crazy good Tellstone here. I'm still not really sure what I would say is the best, but this is definitely in contention for the best of the Tellstones. Now then, who do we have next? Demacia. Oh, okay. Speaking of like good Tellstones, we have the Demacian Tellstone. This is also one of the Tellstones that's in contention for the best one. I wouldn't say this is up there as high as the Ionian one. I'd say this is maybe like 2nd or 3rd best one, but it's definitely up there. Create a fleeting prismatic barrier. You know, the Lux champ spell, give your unit a barrier. A detain, this thing, 5 mana, capture a unit. Or a for Demacia, and you guys probably know what for Demacia is now thanks to Vanguard Sergeant. I think it's a Sergeant. Could be Vanguard Lieutenant, whatever. I like this card. I think every single spell here is good. Number 2, another thing I really like is this feels like some more Lux support. And Lux hasn't really been getting a lot of support in Demacia. Like, sure, there are greats, like the Playcast Merger was great for Lux. Other regions get cards and stuff that help out Lux too, like Bandel City stuff, PNZ stuff like Jace, etc., etc. But Demacia hasn't really been getting spell-oriented stuff. And you might say, like, oh, lore-wise, yeah, I know, but gameplay before lore, right, guys? But yeah, I feel like most of the time this is just a 4-mana Prismatic Barrier, which it's fine. 4 mana for a barrier is fine, in my opinion. I would never play a 4 mana give my unit a barrier, but I played cards that are close to it. Like, I've played Spirit Refuge. Sure, you can argue, like, what it gives lifesteal, too. Yeah, but you're paying that 1 extra mana to have the option to play Detain or For Demacia. You know, being in Lux, or just not even in Lux, just playing defensive For Demacia, aggressive For Demacia. You should know by now just how strong a For Demacia is. You play For Demacia, your opponent feels forced to chump a couple of the units. You get like a small one-sided ruination, kind of. Feels good. And of course, 2 of these 3 spells are very expensive, and Lux likes that. I mean, you just cast Demacia Tellstones into Detain. That's already 6 mana for Lux. So, very, very good card. Might be the best of the Tellstones, but it's definitely up in the top 3 in my opinion. And our next one, what do we have? Oh, well, we got the worst, or at least one of the worst Tellstones here. This is the only reason why I was hesitant to say the Bandel City Tellstone was the worst Tellstone. We have the Targan Tellstones. Create a fleeting Wish, Paddle Star, or Blessing of Targan in hand. Honestly, if it weren't for Wish being one of these cards, I'd actually like this card, but Wish is just so useless. So what are the cards, of course, because you might not know some of these cards. Wish is Soraka's champ spell, fully heal damaged allies. I mean, yeah, cool for Soraka decks. I might play this as a one-of. Paddle Star, 3 mana, deal 5 to an enemy that has attacked or is stunned. Got buffed recently, used to deal 4. And Blessing of Targan, Tarek's champ spell, grant an ally +3/+3. I mean, fine. Like, what? I guess, like, maybe a Zoe deck could use this as the one-up, but I'd much rather just, like, here's the other problem I feel with Targan Tellstones. A lot of the time, I'd rather just play Spell Thief. I feel like Spell Thief is just better on average most of the time if I want to play this. You know, I say, what if your opponent doesn't play spells? Sure, I guess. There are some decks that are very spell-light, but pretty much every single deck is playing some spells that are pretty solid. Like, every Demacia deck's playing some Sharp Sights. Every Freljord deck's playing some Troll Chants. Bandel City, they're basic. In other words, there are at least some staples in every single region. Noxian Fervor in Aggro Noxus, Ravenous Flock in Control Noxus, Mystic Shot in PNZ. Every deck, every region has their staple, or at least spells they really want to play a lot of the time. So again, I'd rather just play Spell Thief than Targan Tellstones, but outside of, I don't know, like Zoe decks I'm not a fan of. I guess maybe like Nightfall, but I feel like there's better ways to activate Nightfall than this, and these cards aren't even that great for Nightfall. Like, when's Nightfall playing Wish? When's Nightfall playing Paddle Star? I mean, I guess like Blessing of Targan and Nightfall is kind of cute, but it's expensive, and Nightfall is a little tight with their mana. Really, it's just Soraka. Like, Soraka's the only one I can see using this, and that's because, you know, Wish. And of course, you can use Blessing of Targan to buff things, but again, I'm just not a fan of this card. I think it might be the worst of the Tellstones. It's either this or Bandel City, in my opinion. What do we have next, though? 2 more Tellstones next up. We got a Noxian one. This is the other Tellstone that I think is in contention for the top 3 Tellstones. So we got create a Sharpened Resolved, Whirling Death, or Weapons of the Lost. So Sharpened Resolved, 3 mana, burst speed, give an ally +3/+3 this round. Actually a card that when it was first revealed and first put in the game, a lot of people thought this was main deckable, and then it turns out, not really, a little too expensive, and Noxus doesn't really like this card, and 2 health for 3 mana is just not good enough. Whirling Death, though. Now, Whirling Death is a card that actually sees play in some decks, and it's just a great, great card. Just, you can blow out your opponent with this. Whirling Death with Overwhelm units, too. So, you know, who has Overwhelm right now, or is going to have Overwhelm coming up soon? Legion Deserter. So, I like this. And then Rumble, too, likes Whirling Death. And, of course, Draven likes Whirling Death. It's its champ spell. And our next card, Weapons of the Lost. You've probably seen this because of Pharaoh's Financier. You probably never pick it though, but if you've played Tri-Beam, you've probably seen this card at least in your options, and who knows, maybe you've even chose it once or twice. But 8 mana, slow speed, deal 3 to a unit, summon a Trifarian Shield Breaker, which is the 5 mana 6/5 with Fearsome, which is just okay. But I like this one. Every single Tellstone here, or every single spell in this Tellstone feels solid. Whirling Death feels great. Sharpen Resolve is, I mean, it's a 4 mana to give your unit +3/+2, which is not great, but it's kind of like the Fury of the North choice. You're mostly going to choose it just when you want to keep your unit safe or try to push damage. You're mostly just using this for Whirling Death, I feel. And then you got Weapons of the Lost, you know, where it's just like, I need the most value possible, or I really need to kill this thing right away. So I'll use like, what, 9 mana to deal 3 damage? And then you do get a 6/5, I guess. But still, this is crazy good. Like, it's insane. Like, I'm already considering this as a 2 or 3 of in my Viego Noxus deck. Still not really sure how that's going to look, but Viego, Noxus with Legion Deserter, and like a couple of Tellstones. My only problem, I feel, is going to just be not dying in the early game. So maybe I'll play Elise with that, or maybe I want Rumble. Who knows? But this is such a good Tellstone. Anyway, what do we have next? The last one. Okay, the Sharima one. It's not good. I don't think this one is good, but I don't think it's like Bandel City Targan bad. I think this is like the bit on the level of Bilgewater, but slightly better than Bilgewater's. Like, I would say this is better than Bilgewater's. But yeah, Shariman Tellstone. Its spells are Ruthless Predator, Weight of Judgment, and Spirit Fire. So Ruthless Predator is the one I think will be getting the most value most of the time and being chosen most often. Renekton's champ spell. 2 mana, give an ally +2/+0, give an enemy vulnerable this round. Sees main deck play in a couple of decks, but not that much. But it's still a pretty good card. Solid removal, works really well with action, of course, and quick attack units in general. So, you know, Gnar as well. Can also be used during combat too, just for a little extra power to try and get a good trade or push in more damage. So solid first spell here. Weight of Judgment, you've probably never seen this card get played because it is a bad card, but I've seen a couple of people try to play this in things like Senna decks, and I'm just like, don't play this in Senna, it's bad. I've also seen some people try to be cute and play this in Swain, like Swain, Sharima Swain, because like in theory it levels up Swain quickly, but it was not a good idea. I will say this though, dealing 7 to a follower is kind of nice against Pantheon and Fated, so you just have to deal with Pantheon himself, and with Quicksand you probably have a decent chance too. So yeah, I kind of like that against Pantheon and Fated, so it's kind of nice. And then Spirit Fire, of course, the Shuriman control Copium card, 7 mana, give enemies -2/-0, and then at the end of the round deal 2 to them. It's whatever. But yeah, I like the card. I think it is solid. Good cards here, but nothing too crazy good. But you know, like one okay card, one also solid card in the form of Weight that's very good in certain situations, and then Spirit Fire is the oh no, time to panic button where you're against like an aggro deck and they try to like go wide and swing really quickly, and then you just play Spirit Fire and hope it's enough to keep you alive. But yeah, I love these cards. That's all for them. That's all 9 of them. So I'll give a quick ranking, I'd say. Let's include 3 Sisters too in this ranking, so we have just a nice even 10. I'd say like, I don't know, like, I'd say the Ionia one is the best. Like, I'm gonna evaluate these in a vacuum, not in just how strong the region is, because Ionia is not that strong right now, but I'd say from strongest to weakest, Tellstone and 3 Sisters included, Ionia is the strongest, and then I'd say second is Freljord, 3 Sisters. After that is probably Demacia, and then Noxus. I'd say that's like the top 4. After that, I would probably put, I don't know, like for number 5, I'd say like Piltover and Zaun's Tellstone, and then maybe like Shadowhiles, and then Sharima as the next, like, as the next few. Next 8, I think. Or next 3, next 8, whatever. And then you got, like, Targan and then Bandel City are the last 2. I don't think I missed anything. I had the Bilgewater one in there. Bilgewater should be around where I put, like, PNZ. I think I put Bilgewater around there, like, around PNZ, around Sharima. But yeah, I love these cards. It does fix a lot of, fixes some of these regions' awkwardness with landmark removal, like Shadowhiles, a little bit for Bandel City, but don't play this in Bandel City. Really, I think just Bandel City should be getting this from Conchologist and nothing else. But yeah, big fan of these cards. I really, really like them. Really excited to play with them. Especially in some of the new decks I'm already thinking up in my head. Like I said, Legion Deserter. So, you know, I like them. Very cool cards. Love to hear what you guys think of them. Do you like the design as well? I really like the design. I like cycles. I like these kind of cards, which are just like similar cards, but have slightly different changes to them in different regions. In Magic, it was like different colors. So I'm a big fan of cycle cards. So I like this, you know, like other cycles, like the Allegiance card cycles. So I love cycles. I want to see more cycles like this. It doesn't even have to be spells, could be units. So, you know, bring them on, Riot. But yeah, I like them. I'd love to hear your opinion too on these cards. Like, what do you think are the strongest? What do you think are the weakest? Give me your list of like most powerful, the least powerful Tellstones. Do you think I'm wrong? Do you think do you think maybe the Targan one's good? I don't think the Targan one's good in all honesty. Do you think I'm overrating some of them? Do you think I'm overrating the Noxus, Demacia, and Ionia Tellstones? I'd love to hear your opinion down below in the comments. And if you guys just enjoyed the video in general, I'd love it if you could leave a like or a comment down below. Always helps me on the channel out. And if you guys want to keep up with the Legends of Runeterra content, you can always go and subscribe to the channel as well. Also, if you want to watch me play some Legends of Runeterra, you can go and check me out over on Twitch at twitch.tv/Zeneton, where I stream pretty much every single day. Anyway, though, with that all said and done, thank you all once more for watching this video, and talk to you guys in the next one. Bye!